In the twilight of the 15th century, a shadow loomed over the Carpathian Mountains, a figure etched in the annals of history, infamous for his brutality and cunning. Vlad III, known as Vlad the Impaler, was born in 1431 in the Transylvanian town of Sighișoara. His father, Vlad Dracula, was a member of the Order of the Dragon, a chivalric order dedicated to defending Christianity in Eastern Europe against the encroaching Ottoman Empire. From his earliest days, Vlad was steeped in a world of intrigue, conflict, and the constant struggle for power. As a boy, Vlad was not merely a prince, but a pawn in a deadly game of politics. In 1442, when he was merely 11 years old, his father was forced to send him and his younger brother Radu to the Ottoman court as hostages to ensure their father's loyalty. This was a common practice among rulers of the time, a way to secure peace by holding the offspring of one's enemies. The young Vlad experienced the harsh realities of life in a foreign court, learning the ways of the Ottomans while harboring a deep resentment for his captors. During his years in captivity, Vlad was not idle. He absorbed the lessons of strategy and warfare from the Ottomans while simultaneously plotting his return to Wallachia. He learned the art of manipulation, how to play the long game, and the importance of fear in governance. The duality of his existence, caught between the world of his father and the world of his captors, shaped him into a formidable figure. He was not just a prince. He was a survivor, and he was determined to reclaim his birthright. In 1448, after years of scheming and with the help of a small contingent of loyal supporters, Vlad returned to Wallachia, seizing the throne from his cousin, Vladislav II. His reign began with bloodshed, a harbinger of the terror that would come to define his rule. Vlad wasted no time in establishing his authority, and his methods were as ruthless as they were effective. The stories of his cruelty began to spread, tales of impalements and executions that would haunt the imaginations of his enemies and allies alike. One of the most significant moments of Vlad's early reign came in 1456, when he sought to consolidate his power by eliminating the boyars, the noble class that had long held sway over Wallachian politics. He invited them to a banquet under the guise of reconciliation, only to imprison them and execute many in a brutal display of his authority. It was a turning point, a moment that marked the transition from a struggling prince to a feared ruler. The boyars, once the power brokers of the land, were decimated, and Vlad's grip on Wallachia tightened like a vice. But Vlad's ambitions did not stop at the borders of Wallachia. His eyes were set on the Ottoman Empire, the very force that had once held him captive. He sought to reclaim the territories lost to the Ottomans and to assert Wallachia's independence. In 1462, he launched a daring raid into Ottoman territory, a campaign marked by both brilliance and brutality. His forces struck swiftly, employing guerrilla tactics, and he left a trail of devastation in his wake. He became known as the Son of the Dragon, a title that struck fear into the hearts of his enemies. However, the Ottomans were not to be underestimated. Led by Sultan Mehmed II, who had conquered Constantinople just a few years prior, they were determined to crush Vlad's rebellion. The conflict escalated, and Vlad found himself facing overwhelming odds. In a desperate bid to defend his realm, he employed his infamous method of impalement, creating a forest of stakes outside his capital city of Târgoviște, a macabre display meant to intimidate the advancing Ottoman forces. The sight was horrifying. Thousands of enemies, captured and impaled, stood as a grim testament to Vlad's resolve. The Ottomans, horrified yet determined, pressed on, and in the summer of 1462, Mehmed II launched a full-scale invasion of Wallachia. Vlad, realizing the dire situation, resorted to guerrilla tactics, striking at night and retreating into the forests by day. His cunning and ruthlessness caught the Ottomans off guard, but the tide of war was relentless. In a fateful encounter, he managed to face Mehmed directly, but the battle turned against him. Betrayed by some of his own allies, Vlad was forced to flee, seeking refuge in the mountains. In exile, Vlad's life took on a new dimension. He became a figure of legend, a ghost haunting the lands he once ruled. His name was whispered in fear, and his stories grew more elaborate with each retelling. Tales of his cruelty spread beyond the borders of Wallachia, reaching the courts of Europe. He became a symbol of defiance against the Ottomans, a dark hero in the eyes of some, a monster in the eyes of others. During his time in exile, Vlad sought alliances, hoping to reclaim his throne. He found a temporary refuge in Hungary, where he was imprisoned by King Matthias Corvinus, who viewed him as a potential threat. Yet even in captivity, Vlad's spirit remained unbroken. He continued to plot, to scheme, and to dream of the day he would return to Wallachia. In 1476, after years of political maneuvering and with the support of Hungarian forces, Vlad was finally restored to the throne of Wallachia. His return, however, was marked by a new wave of violence. The years in exile had hardened him, and he was determined to reclaim his kingdom with an iron fist. He resumed his brutal tactics, executing perceived traitors and enemies without hesitation. The impalements continued, and the tales of his cruelty grew even more grotesque. His reign became synonymous with terror, and the very name Vlad the Impaler struck fear into the hearts of all who heard it. Yet even as he ruled with an iron grip, Vlad faced constant challenges. The Ottomans remained a looming threat, and the boyars, though diminished, were still a potential source of rebellion. In the midst of this turmoil, Vlad's personal life was fraught with its own tragedies. He had been married to a woman named Knyazhna, but she died under mysterious circumstances, adding to the darkness that surrounded him. He later married again, this time to a noblewoman named Ilona, but the scars of his past haunted him, and his heart remained as cold as the steel he wielded. In the end, Vlad's reign was cut short. In December 1476, he faced yet another invasion from the Ottomans. This time, he was not merely fighting for his throne, but for his very life. The battle that ensued was fierce, and Vlad fought valiantly, but the odds were against him. In the chaos, he was betrayed by those he had once trusted, and in a final act of defiance, he met his end on the battlefield, his body lost to history. Vlad the Impaler's legacy lived on long after his death. He became a figure of folklore, a character in tales that blurred the line between history and myth. His story was woven into the fabric of Romanian culture, and his name became synonymous with horror and tyranny. Yet beneath the layers of brutality lay a complex figure, shaped by the tumultuous times in which he lived. He was a prince, a warrior, a survivor, and a man who wielded fear as a weapon. His life was a testament to the darker aspects of human nature, a reminder of the thin line between heroism and monstrosity. As centuries passed, Vlad's legacy would inspire countless adaptations in literature and film, from Bram Stoker's Dracula to modern interpretations that sought to explore the depths of his character. The tales of his impalements, his fierce battles, and his unyielding ambition became the stuff of legend, ensuring that the name Vlad the Impaler would echo through the ages, a haunting reminder of the complexities of power and the darkness that can reside within the human soul.